Hello info oddities and welcome to my Mortal Kombat 1 review. It's finally here. Mortal Kombat 1 was released on September 19th or the 14th if you got the premium edition of this year, 2023, and it is the 12th mainline installment of the Mortal Kombat franchise, which has been going on for over 30 years since 1992. It is a fighting game with 22 characters at a base as soon as you open up the game, but Havoc can be unlocked through playing the story mode. Shang Tsung is unlocked through either paying for it or by pre-ordering the game, which you can't do now since it's already out, so you'll have to pay for him. And then there's also DLC characters such as everyone in Combat Pack 1, which has already been revealed, and also probably Combat Pack 2, and probably a story expansion which will just make the roster even bigger. This game is an in-continuity reboot taking place after Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, where Liu Kang has become the new Keeper of Time, the new Fire God, the new Protector of Earthrealm, and he molds this new timeline to eliminate any threats that he's had to deal with in previous timelines, meaning a lot of the characters, a lot of the story is very different from what we're used to in Mortal Kombat, but in a weird way, this game does kind of feel like a return to form, which is odd because it is a reboot with a lot of changes, but just the vibe feels more like old Mortal Kombat than what we've gotten in these newer NRS games, which I'll talk about more later. But firstly, let's talk about the main aspect of a video game, and that is the gameplay. So when it comes to a fighting game, of course, the main aspect of gameplay is the fighting. So that's what we're going to talk about first. Now, if there's one way I could describe the fighting mechanics in Mortal Kombat 1, especially compared to the other NRS games, is satisfying. Just satisfying. Combos feel a lot more smooth. When you're pressing those buttons, each move just goes, yeah, in a way that's just like, like you're getting everything correct right on the button, whereas in other Mortal Kombat games, there was sort of a detach sometimes from the buttons you were pressing to the actual moves you were seeing, where it kind of just feels like you're spamming buttons, watching stuff happen, but with this game, it really feels like every single button you press actually has meaning. And what can I say? That just feels really nice on my fingers or my eyes. I don't know if it's an actual feeling thing with like the controller or if it's a visual thing. Maybe it's a combination of both, I don't know. Also touching more on the combos, they feel much easier to do, but not like too easy. They don't feel basic or generic. Like Mortal Kombat 11, the combos were kind of basic, boring, and you know, it led to people mostly just using special moves over and over and over again. But in this game, I feel like the combos aren't as complex. Like there's not as many buttons to press, there's not as many inputs to put in, and it just feels like, okay, I can actually use this in like an online match or an active match, where in previous games, it really just feels like, okay, I can do this in like practice mode or against a super easy bot opponent, but whenever I go into online, it's much harder to do. At least that's always been the case for me. I guess the easiest way to say it is that in the previous Mortal Kombat games, or specifically the NRS games, it feels like the special moves really kind of carried and was like the main aspect of gameplay, whereas in this, it feels a lot more even. I'd even say maybe it leans a bit more towards combos because I feel like I'm not using the special moves as much as I did before, but I feel like I'm using more of the combos. I don't know, maybe that's just me getting better. This is the first kind of Mortal Kombat game I've really tried to delve into the gameplay and try to get better at it, so maybe it's just that, but I don't know. I'm just giving my thoughts here. Also, with the special moves, there's not really much to talk about. Like, special moves are never really different in these NRS games, in these Mortal Kombat games. They're all just kind of like, okay, from game to game, like, okay, there's some cool ones, there's some unique ones, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know, there's not going to be as much change compared to the combos where you have specific inputs and differences in that, and that affects how the game feels and how it plays, whereas special moves always just kind of feel the same. Like, I don't know, they feel smoother, they feel nicer in this game, I guess, but that's just because, like, the game overall is smoother and nicer. But something else that is very smooth and nice, which is probably the most satisfying thing in this entire game, is the aerial combat. That feels amazing. Now, my only complaint with it is that you don't really use it too often, which sucks, because when you actually get to do them, I think I have one combo with Sub-Zero where some aerial combat is in there. It just feels so amazing, especially the ones where you like hit them and then you smack them, and then they pop back up again. It feels just like Armageddon, and I love it. I think a lot of people didn't really like this feature in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, which I can understand with that being a 3D game. It kind of feels like you're limited in movement when you're stuck in the air for like a few seconds, and it's kind of weird, but in a 2D game, I think it works a lot better, and boy does it work a lot better here, because I love it. But then there's the main gimmick of Mortal Kombat 1, which of course is the cameo fighters. Now, firstly, I do want to say it is super awesome to get some of these characters that we never thought would return in this cameo system, especially characters like Serena, characters like Shujinko. It's super cool to see these characters come back in this form because we're probably never going to get them as actual main playable characters. Like being able to have Sub-Zero and Serena on the same team, not only that, but wearing matching colors as well. It's perfect. It's amazing. This is everything I ever wanted from a Mortal Kombat game. 10 out of 10. I love it. That's basically the end of the review. Goodbye. No, but seriously, it's actually really cool to have some of these super fun matchups in this game, like Johnny and Sonya working together, or Bi-Han and Frost, or probably the better one, Kuai Liang and Frost, even though Kuai Liang's Scorpion, so it's not as cool. And there's even some matchups you wouldn't initially think of as awesome, but when you really think about it, something like General Shao and Motaro, which is basically Shao Kahn and Motaro, is super cool. Come on, Mortal Kombat 3 matchup, awesome. And that's not even getting into the gameplay side of things, where man, balancing is going to be a nightmare for this game, because there's going to be certain matchups with certain cameos and certain main fighters which are going to be problems, and there's going to be some that are OP, some that are super weak, and then they're going to nerf one, it's going to buff another one, it's going to buff some other one, and then it's going to nerf some other one. It's going to be crazy. I'm glad I am not a Mortal Kombat 1 dev. But as for the cameos themselves in gameplay, I didn't really use them that much, even when I was playing Sub-Zero and Serena. Like, the matchup I've always wanted, the two characters I've always wanted to play as, both of them side by side, going at it, fighting people, yeah, hooray, saving the day, or causing havoc. Either one is fine with me. But in the gameplay, I didn't really use Serena that much. Like, there's this one move which I use quite a lot, which is like this boomerang move where she like throws like two things and then they hit the person and it comes back and it like staggers them for a little bit, and then I'm able to do a combo. But at the end of the day, I don't really think I need to do that because it doesn't do that much damage, and I could just do the combo by itself and it'll pretty much have the same effect on my opponent. I only do that because it makes the combo seem cooler, because I look over and it's like, oh my god, 14 hit combo or something like that, even though it's realistically just a 10 hit combo, but the cameo got in like 4 hits because of the thingy going and coming back and stuff. That's the only reason I use it, to seem cooler and be more happy with myself. But yeah, I just feel like the cameos don't really need to be here. Like, it's a fun enough game on its own. I don't really think this game needed a gimmick like variations or custom variations or weapons or whatever. Like, if this game was just the way it was by itself, I would be pretty happy. It doesn't really need cameos. Maybe it can be its own separate mode. I think for story mode, it really, really works because, of course, in story mode in past games, you've had characters who are side by side with other characters, but for some reason they're just fighting alone. It doesn't really make sense. So for story mode, it makes a lot of sense and it's really good. But does it really have to be the mode you always use, the one you have to use all the time? Like, can we just have a mode where it's like one-on-one, normal Mortal Kombat? Like, why do we always have to use Kami? But you know, at the end of the day, it's not like the cameos get in the way or anything. Besides the breakers, that's the only thing, is I hate breakers in this game. I don't know why. Like, it's not any different from how breakers work in like previous games. It's just like a breaker, and it's better than Breakaway from Mortal Kombat 11. But it's just so annoying because I'm like trying to do combos and stuff, and then they just breaker me, and it's annoying. Also, the Mortal Kombat 11 Fatal Blow system returns pretty much exactly how it was in that game into this game, besides, of course, there's a cameo, which Kind of makes for some cool matchups with the fatal blows, where every character has like their own fatal blow move, and then they just combine them together for different combinations of cameo and main fighters, which is pretty cool. But I still don't really like the super move system. I do like how it's more X-ray focused this time instead of just like blood shooting out everywhere, which is how it was in Mortal Kombat 11, which was lame. But still, I really don't feel like these NRS games need to have these big gimmicks. Like, just focus on the fighting, just focus on the special moves and the combos and stuff like that. Just focus on improving those and making that super, super fun. And I think that's all you really need. Like, we don't need some big complex weapon system where like they pull out a weapon, they have different fighting stances. We don't need that. We don't need like cameo fighters. We don't need variations. We don't need any of this stuff. If you just make the base gameplay fun, it's all you really need. But you know, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people like these sort of gimmicky stuffs and the fact that it makes every game sort of more unique, which I can see the perspective of, but for me, I would just prefer the base gameplay because that's just how I like to play. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to offer in terms of my opinions on the gameplay. I've said this many times on the channel before. I'm not some fighting game nerd who knows about frame data and footsies and all this mumbo jumbo smart people stuff. No, I'm not well versed in that, so I'm not going to act like I am. I'm just giving my straight raw opinion, and you guys can make of that what you will. But yeah, moving on from the base gameplay, we have Invasions mode, which is sort of a mixture of the Crypt and Conquest mode from Deception. So it's basically like this mode where you're going through sort of unlocking stuff. You're not really unlocking stuff that often. I mean, I guess you are. It's not like the Crypt where you just go around opening chests and stuff. You go around, you fight people, and then you just kind of unlock stuff along the way just because like you're fighting, and fighting in this game means you unlock stuff. So, hooray. So yeah, I'd definitely say it's sort of more like Conquest, but it doesn't have like as much of a story as Conquest does. Like there's a bit of a story, but it's more like Mortal Kombat 1 through 3 story, whereas it's kind of told in like pictures and text and stuff, which is kind of boring. Like full cinematic cutscenes could have been cool, but I get like this game already has a full cinematic story mode and like all these cutscenes and stuff like that. I get why they couldn't do it. Though if they make something like this into story mode, then we could probably see something pretty cool there. But I don't know if NRS will do it, but it's my suggestion. Like, I don't know. Maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't. But yeah, Invasions mode is definitely really, really fun. I like going across all the different worlds and stuff and unlocking stuff, even though unlocking stuff takes a really, really long time in this game. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I don't play enough. Like, I haven't been able to play too much, but I'm at like level, I want to say like level 12 with Bi-Han Sub-Zero, which is the main character I play as, pretty much the only character I play as, and I've been playing this game for as long as it's been out, and I haven't gotten that far with him. Like level 12. Like, I know I haven't been playing the game like a lot, but like, I still feel like I should be ranking up quicker than that. And don't even get me started on Serena. Like, Serena is like way below that even. Like, maybe level like 7, 6, something like that. I don't know why cameo specifically takes so much less time than main fighters. I mean, I guess kind of makes sense. Not really. I would expect the cameo fighter to actually level up quicker since they're not as big a character, but whatever. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't play this game enough. But yeah, Invasions mode has a lot of cool separate little modes and stuff. You got like Test Your Might. You got these like levels where you have to like dodge laser beams and stuff, which is super fun, but most of it is just like fighting people. And I will say that part of it gets kind of repetitive. Like there's some parts where there's like towers and there are some modifiers and stuff, but usually you get the same modifiers, the same characters over and over and over again. And at that point it kind of becomes a little repetitive, and it's why I probably haven't played the game as much as I probably should for someone who loves Mortal Kombat so much, but I just haven't been able to play that much because it does get a little repetitive, and it's just like, okay, I want to do something like new to give me a reason to come back and keep playing rather than just doing something else that's probably better worth my time. Now, I'm not saying fighting isn't fun or anything. I'm just saying, like, having the unique stuff, like Test Your Mights, even including different test yours, test your sight, test your strike, and then like the laser beam dodging stuff. Having that a bit more often would definitely be better, I believe. There are some cool match types, like some endurance matches and stuff like that, but like it's always the same characters, it's always the same stage, it's always a lot of the same things, so I just can't really get into it too much as I think the game wants it to. But yeah, just like have more cool stuff happen more often rather than just like the same thing over and over again, and then we'd be good. Then invasion mode is great, perfect. I wouldn't change anything about it. Oh, and last thing with invasions mode, the armor on some of the characters is super annoying. I don't know why they just do this like armor thing. Like there's supposed to be like parts where like the character's doing a move and like they don't have armor and you're supposed to like time them, but that's stupid. Nobody's going to take the time to do that. Just have them not have armor all the time, or have them have like limited armor or something, because it gets really annoying when I'm like just fighting and then I'm trying to do a combo and then all of a sudden they just have armor, and it's very frustrating. But yeah, that's all with invasions. And the last aspect of gameplay I want to talk about is customization. Now, this game has gotten a reputation of having worse customization than Mortal Kombat 11 or Injustice 2, seeing as you only have one gear slot and you have some skins, but there's not as many skins as like Mortal Kombat 11. And also, something that I personally find really annoying is the fact that shaders aren't universal. So like in Mortal Kombat, or not Mortal Kombat, but Injustice 2, shaders were universal. So you could equip some gear, some whatever, make your gear for a character, and then just apply a shader onto it. Like, it wasn't a different shader for every skin you had. But in this game, for every single skin, you have to unlock a new shader for it, instead of there just being set shaders. You pick a skin, you pick a shader, and then it's like two separate things. But in this one, it's just like, okay, each skin has its own set of shaders that you have to unlock, which is kind of annoying. I wish it was just universal like it was in Injustice 2. But do I think this game's customization is a downgrade from Mortal Kombat 11? It's close. Like, I think the one gear piece is enough, actually. Like, that's not really the part I'm upset about. The thing I'm upset about is mostly in the actual skins themselves that we're getting. Like, I'm fine with skins, I'm fine with gear, I'm fine with whatever. This game kind of takes a weird mix of both that I'm kind of confused about. But with the skins, that's my main problem, and it's the fact that it's not enough classic skins. Like, we got the Deadly Alliance Scorpion, which is magnificent. We need more stuff like that, but for other characters, there's not really a whole lot of interesting skins to choose from. Like, for a lot of them, it's just like the generic skins that you just see across story mode. There's no classic costumes. Like, the Mortal Kombat 1 characters that are in this game don't even have their Mortal Kombat 1 costumes, which the cameos have, or at least they have one of their classic costumes, but for whatever reason, the cameos just don't have their costumes transfer over to the main fighters, and the main fighters' costumes don't transfer over to the cameos, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you clearly have that model, why not just like import it over so I can play as classic Sub-Zero or something? And speaking of Sub-Zero, Sub-Zero doesn't like have any skins. Like I've said, like I've played until rank 12 and I still don't have any skins for Sub-Zero. I have palettes or like shaders or whatever you want to call it, but I don't have actual skins. Like, I didn't get the skin that was like the, I don't know if it was Mexico or something, B-Juan. I think that's what people are calling it. I didn't get that skin because I don't live in Mexico, and I'm pretty sure that's the only way to get it. And there's also like one other skin, I think, that I haven't gotten. Maybe like one or two other skins that I haven't gotten yet, even though I'm like rank 12 and I feel like I should have a skin at this point. But it's just annoying. Like, I feel like even that, like 3 costumes, and none of them are classic costumes, or none of them are returning costumes, none of them are anything really noteworthy, and none of them have the hood up. Come on, look. Sub-Zero is supposed to have a hood that covers his head and his hair, alright? He should not have his hair out all the time in every single costume. And that's a problem with like every single one of the ninjas in this game, is that like almost none of them have a costume with their hood up. Like, I think Smoke has one, and that's not even like the classic ninja hood. That's like an actual hood, like this type of hood, not the classic ninja hood, like on this guy right here. And I don't think any of the ninjas, besides Reptile, I think, have this classic ninja hood. And this mask is falling off his face a little bit. I'm gonna fix it so that it looks good and not weird. But like, I'm sorry, I have to rant about it. Like, that's the classic ninja look. How could you not give the ninjas their classic look? And like, barely any of the returning costumes are featured in this game. Like, we don't get Deception Sub-Zero, which, you know, we had him in Mortal Kombat 11. Okay, maybe they want to sit that one out, but what about like Deadly Alliance Sub-Zero? What about Mortal Kombat 9 Sub-Zero? Mortal Kombat X Sub-Zero even? I'll take that. Any of the other characters, like, this basically applies to. Like, there's no classic costumes for Kitana, Mileena, Liu Kang even. Like, you don't get normal Liu Kang. You don't get normal Liu Kang. Come on. It's just so weird, the customization choices they make in this game, in my opinion. I don't know. It's just, they need more. Like, it's not even in terms of like, okay, flexibility, I guess. Like, I know Injustice 2, especially with every single like piece of their body having like different gear attached to it, there was a lot of flexibility. There was a lot of different things you could do and a lot of different looks you could create with all those characters. Mortal Kombat 11, less of an extent as Injustice 2, but you could still really customize your character and how they look. In this game, it's much less, with only one gear piece being changeable, but that's not even my problem. Like, I don't care about the flexibility. I don't care about making them look exactly how I would picture them in my head or something like that. No, I just want like these classic costumes to return. I just want the options that I have to be better. Like, I don't need to be able to customize every single little detail and piece of gear or whatever, armor or whatever. Like, I just care about like the options I have being good. All right. That's why I don't even like Injustice 2's customization that much, because their options for like gear pieces are not that great. All right, are not that great. So it doesn't matter to me like how much you can do. It matters what you actually have to do, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I sound like a crazy person right now. But that's about it with the gameplay side of things. Now let's move on to aesthetics. Now, firstly, talking about the visuals, this game is, of course, visually amazing. And I don't just mean in terms of like the actual graphics being super good and being like super realistic or whatever. Like, that's cool and all. Like, the HD quality was definitely very satisfying for my eyes to look at while I was playing the story mode and stuff. So that was very nice. But I just mean like this game looks like Mortal Kombat. Like, you can see it in the characters' designs, which, even though I ragged on them a bit earlier, a lot of them are still really good, especially their defaults. In fact, probably just their defaults are great. Every other costume, kind of iffy. But when it comes to their defaults, they're mostly great. Compare this to Mortal Kombat 11, which had a lot of armory and superhero-y looking stuff, which I wasn't a fan of. Mortal Kombat X, which had like this grimy, desaturated look to it. Mortal Kombat 9, it was decent, and that was probably the last Mortal Kombat game that actually gave me a feel of Mortal Kombat, with the colors, with the vibe, with the lighting, and all that stuff. Like, this game brings me back to that instead of like Mortal Kombat 11 or X, which were not great. But the graphics in Mortal Kombat 1 take a big hit when you consider not the PlayStation 5 version of the game, not the Xbox Series X version of the game, not the PC version of the game, but then you look to the Nintendo Switch version, and yikes. Like, Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch was actually pretty okay from what I remember, but this game is, honestly, it leaves you speechless. Like, all I have to do is just show you the images, and it's just like, oof, you cannot charge like what, like $60 for this. I think this is a $60 game, right? Like, I mean, I paid way more than that, like 100 and something, because I got the premium edition. But like for a Nintendo Switch release, like I don't even know if you can like tell people to pay for this, like at all. Like this should not be worth any money at all. Yeah, this is what happens when you take a next-gen game that needs the next-gen software and put it on a device that is not only last-gen, but also not as powerful as your average last-gen console. So yeah, I don't know whose idea it was to put Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch, but they should be fired. And next we have, a big one, the music. The music has been a big point of contention for Mortal Kombat fans since, I'd say, Mortal Kombat 9, where people haven't really enjoyed the Mortal Kombat X and 11, specifically music from those games, because it's just very generic sounding. It's like you're just average modern blockbuster music, where it's not really anything too special. It's just kind of goes in one ear and out the other, and you just forget about it immediately. It doesn't really set a vibe, it doesn't set a tone or anything in these games. It's just like, okay, we need music because we can't just have all the scenes and stuff being silent, so music. But Mortal Kombat 1 definitely rectifies this. The music in this game is great. And that's both in the original music just for this game, which definitely feels a lot more like Mortal Kombat with some techno sounds in there, but also some oriental sort of music in there, and it's like a nice mix of both. There's some other stuff in there as well. So the original music is great, and then there's some remade music. Specifically, the one I'm thinking of is the one from the Living Forest, where it's a bit more of a jovial version of the classic Living Forest theme, and it is super, super good. I love it, and I wish I could play on the Living Stage more, but I just call it the Living Stage, the Living Forest stage more, because that music is great. But for some reason, I just like never get that stage. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, like the music in this game is just a lot more memorable and unique and fitting to Mortal Kombat than something like Mortal Kombat 11, which just, it sounded like the same as just Injustice music. Like, I swear, like the scene with Kano revealing himself, like I feel like I've heard that music in Injustice somewhere. But now we have the one you guys have all been waiting for. We covered the gameplay with the fighting, the invasions, the customization, and then the aesthetics with the visuals and the music, but now we got to get to that story mode. What are my thoughts on Mortal Kombat 1's story? Now, initial thoughts, good story. Nothing like super crazy or special in my opinion, just it's a good story, and probably, if you look at it objectively, the best story NRS has had. There's not too many retcons or plot inconsistencies or characters being not how they should be, besides for one example, which I'm very sad about, which I made a video about, which you can watch in the top right corner. Yeah. But yeah, definitely looking objectively, it is the best NRS story mode. Now, subjectively, that's a whole different matter. I've heard some people say this is a bad story mode, that they don't like it. I've heard some people say, oh, this is great, awesome, amazing, best Mortal Kombat story ever told. I mean, the Fourth Snake liked it, which is a big deal. Like, the Fourth Snake likes something Mortal Kombat related. And then you're going to have people all across the spectrum being like, it's okay, or, not my thing, or, yeah, cool, I liked it. And that's probably where I am, more so in the middle between, okay, this is a really, really good story, and, okay. Like, I'm probably right in the middle of that. And I really do think that the first two acts are amazing. Like, great peak Mortal Kombat content. Now, of course, it's not my Mortal Kombat because, characters are different, storyline is completely different, but I understand the story needs to change throughout these games, or else we're just going to be in a loop of tournament and Liu Kang winning, beating Shao Kahn, and Kung Lao dying again, and then yada yada yada, the same thing happens over and over again. We need change, and I think the changes that came in the first 2 acts of this game were really, really good. And I just love the smaller scale that this story had within the first 2 acts after Mortal Kombat 11 and its timeline shenanigans and stuff like that. It just felt nice to be kind of more into it with all the characters being along for the ride and with all the Earth Realmers, and all the characters are super likable and down to earth and stuff like that. But then you get to the 3rd act and the scope goes from pretty small to very, very large again. And as soon as that happened, I kind of felt my heart just like disconnect from all the characters and everything that was happening, because now I'm just like, okay, this is a big deal. Like, stuff is happening. I'm trying not to spoil it. No spoilers in this review, but like a bunch of stuff happens, and then you're just like, oh, okay. I don't know. We were having like personal moments here with all these characters, but now we have to like push that all to the side and focus on like the big bad threat that is threatening a big thing, which I can't get into because spoilers. And I really do think if that 3rd act just kept the small scale, kept the way things were going, and just had the villain up to that point just do the thing that they were trying to do for that entire game up to that point, then it would just be happy days. Okay, great Mortal Kombat story, hooray. Amazing story mode, best story mode Mortal Kombat has ever had, best story Mortal Kombat has ever had, probably. And then I would be happy. But unfortunately, I think the 3rd act just really bogs the whole thing down. And it's a common criticism I've seen from people who really like the story mode, from people who don't like it, from people who are in the middle about it. It's all just, the 3rd act gets, at the very least, just messy. But the thing that's pretty interesting with the plot of this game is that endings that you get from completing the towers and stuff are actually canon in this game, which I haven't gone through every single character's ending. I've only done Bihan's ending, because Bihan's my favorite character, and I do not play as anyone else other than him because it feels like cheating. But yeah, the endings being canon is a very interesting. It would be nice to kind of get a hint to what the next game will bring us, and also get like, I don't know, sort of a what this character will do next for a character, for example, like, I don't know, Rain, who probably won't be in the next Mortal Kombat game, and so you get just a nice, hey, here's what he's gonna go do, and here's why he's not in the next Mortal Kombat game, or something like that. I think that's super cool. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, you know, endings should be canon more often. And also, I want full cinematic cutscenes for endings again. Those are super awesome in Mortal Kombat 4, even if they were super silly. But I don't care. Bring them back and keep the silliness. And this game also does have a post-credit scene. So if you haven't played the game story mode yet, definitely make sure to stay till the very, very end of the credits, because it's definitely worth it. It's definitely very exciting. But yeah, this story definitely wasn't a bad one. The 3rd act didn't ruin the whole thing or anything for me. It's just that the first 2 acts were going so well. I love all the character banner. I love the feel of it. Definitely felt like a Mortal Kombat animated movie. And I was just along for the ride, enjoying it. And then I think you can even see it in like my gameplay, where the big moment happens and I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, this is happening now. And like, I don't know, I just felt so dejected from what was going on, just because like this huge thing happens and now, okay, all the characters are like focused on other stuff and beating the big bad final guy and having existential crises and stuff like that. And now I'm just like, okay, you know, I was on board with like your personal struggles and stuff like that, but now like there's this big thing happening and we can't worry about that. And I just didn't like it. Like, I wanted to keep the character banner and the character relationships, but that didn't really get to happen after that 3rd act mark point. At least not until, like, after everything had been resolved, and then we go back to a smaller scale, and then they have, like, their character interactions and stuff. Like, that was great. But we need more of that, like, throughout the entire 3rd act instead of just the end. Now, I do want to touch on the characters, because there are quite a lot of characters in this game, and shockingly enough, they almost all get, like, something to do that's important in the story. Pretty much none of them are jobbers, besides, I guess I'd say, Reiko and Rain. Like, even Rain, isn't like a complete jobber, but definitely Reiko's a jobber. He didn't really do anything. But other than that, like all the characters like got stuff to do and had an important role, and I was shocked. Like I was surprised there wasn't just characters who were just fodder, because a lot of the characters who would be fodder are just replaced with like NPC characters who have no stake in the story, have no name at all, so you just beat them up. And that was actually a really clever way to do things, like having these NPC characters that you fight instead of actual characters with actual names, with actual backstories that are just reduced to jobbers. So instead of those characters being jobbers, now they actually get something else to do. You would be shocked by the amount of characters that used to be jobbers that are no longer jobbers in this game, and a few of them even get chapters, which is crazy. But yeah, super impressed with that. Now, just because not every character is a jobber doesn't mean every character is super amazing and splendid and perfect or anything. I've already made a full video about why Bihan is not great in this game, but there are also a few other stinkers. I'd say Havoc. Oh, Havoc's a big one. Yeah, guys, Havoc is not really much of a character at all. In fact, I'd probably say he's one of the jobbers, actually. He's another kind of jobber character, just like Reiko. Oh, and it's super disappointing because so many people ask for Havoc, and then we got Havoc in the game, but he sucks. He's literally, everyone asked for Havoc because they expected NRS to actually do something with his character, and like I don't think anyone expected them to just like not do anything. But luckily, most of the other 3D era characters are pretty great in this game, so the representation is good. I think the standout would definitely either be Ashura or Li Mei when it comes to 3D era adaptations in this game. Like one of those two, because they're both super, super cool in this game. I also want to give a special shout out to Serena. She's not that great in the game, like she doesn't do that much. I mean, she's a cameo, what do you expect? But yeah, she's super cool. I like her a lot. She's hot. Oh, and by the way, I forgot another jobber. Natara is also a jobber, which I'm actually glad about because Megan Fox is terrible as Natara's voice actress. So the less I get to hear of her, the better. Now, there are a few examples of these like kind of weird characters that aren't exactly like stinkers, like bad characters, but like their storylines and the interesting parts about them are kind of neglected. I think the big character here is Katana, who is very much neglected in this game, and I want to do a video about it because it's just really weird how like the main female character of Mortal Kombat, unless you want to say it's Sonya, but I wouldn't say it's Sonya, I'd say it's Katana. But she's like the main female character in Mortal Kombat, and she just doesn't really get much to do in this story until the very end, but technically it's not even really Katana, but I can't get into it because spoilers, but like, I don't know, it's weird, I can't get into it, but like, yeah, Katana just, it's super weird how this game treats her. Like, I said it in the build-up to this game being released, but it really does feel like they kind of want to replace Mileena and make her the new poster girl of Mortal Kombat, which I don't really like. Like, I don't know. Katana and Liu Kang, that's like the main couple. That is the pairing of Mortal Kombat, and I feel like you have to like stick with that and make them the two main characters of Mortal Kombat. You got the main male character, main female character, hooray. We need more stories with them two as the focus, but no, instead Mileena's the focus, Sindel, characters like that instead of Katana. Like, the one that's supposed to be the most important. But I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe they just want to appeal to the Mileena fans, which is a big percentage of the fan base. So I guess it makes some sort of sense. And just because I'm in a certain minority that thinks Katana is better than Mileena, like, I guess my opinion shouldn't overrule theirs or whatever. So it is what it is. But yeah, wrapping this all up, giving my closing thoughts on the story, I definitely do think this was a good story. I give it a solid B+, 8 out of 10, 3.5 stars, something like that. Alright, I definitely think this was a good story, even though I have my issues. I have flaws that this story has, but at the end of the day, it's good, which is more than you can say for a few of NRS's stories and a few more recent Mortal Kombat stories. So I guess that's what really matters. But I guess the main big takeaway I have from the story is I am very excited to see what they do next, because the whole big scale that the third act introduced was kind of tied up. Like, the loose end was fully tied up, just it's over, it's done, and we can move on to the next thing. And I hope that's what happens. I hope we take all of these characters, these basically new characters, these new identities that these characters have, their new backstories, their new motivations and stuff like that, and I hope we can just run with it going forward and make this into the new Mortal Kombat story, with Liu Kang as a protector, Raiden as like the main character, the main champion, whatever you want to call him, and all these Outworld characters who are different now because Outworld isn't as evil as they used to be, and stuff like that. I think it would just be super interesting to just follow this world going forward, and I really, really hope they don't just go back to the status quo and find a way to make it so, okay, Raiden's the protector of Earthrealm, we have Sonya, Johnny, and Liu Kang as the main characters, we have a tournament, which happens every so-and-so years, and Outworld is evil again, and the sky is purple, and Shao Kahn is the leader, and Shang Tsung is here making, being the host of Mortal Kombat and making slimy, scummy decisions to backstab people and stuff like that. If all that happens again, I'm not gonna like leave the series or anything. Like, I'll still be there, but I'm just gonna be super disappointed because I feel like this new storyline has a lot of potential. So I'm trusting NRS here. At the end of the day, though, I'm not keeping my hopes up too high. Like, if we're being realistic, the status quo is going to be returned at some point. It's going to be WB's decision or something like that, because WB is going to be like, hey, we got to appeal to the nostalgia of the old games, so you got to return to the older Raiden, because that's what everyone knows Raiden as, right? The wise old mentors. You have to make him the wise old mentor again. You have to do this and do that, and that's probably what's going to happen, honestly. At some point, maybe we get like 1 or 2 games within this timeline, but at some point, it's all going to return to how it was before. So, yeah, and I hope if they do that, they just make it a full-on reboot. Like, no more in-continuity reboots or anything like that. If you're going to reboot it, just reboot it. Like, just... we don't gotta mention any other timelines and stuff. Just go back to the beginning and rate something completely new. And just go with that. Please. I'm begging you. NRS. Make the right decisions here. But for the final part of this video, there's one more thing I'd like to do. And here we have a Mortal Kombat game tier list. So we're gonna go in order from the first game release, which is Mortal Kombat 1992. And go up to Mortal Kombat 1, which we'll save for last, as it's the game we're talking about in this video, so it should be last. But for Mortal Kombat 1, but the real Mortal Kombat 1, 1992, this one's hard to rank because it's not that great, but the impact it had, like, it just makes you want to put it up super high, S tier, but I think realistically, we gotta take into account impact, but the gameplay is not that great, so I don't know. We can't put it super low because just like how important it is. I'm gonna put it, I could put it middle of the road, and I think that's where I'm gonna put it. I think I'm gonna put it right there in the middle, smack that, because realistically, as a game, especially if you compare it to modern day, it's probably an F tier. It's super not fun to play. It's super stiff and slow, and it's just not my thing. But you know, just for the impact it had, you can't place it D or F tier. Like you gotta place it C tier at the least. So that's where I'm putting it. But now we got Mortal Kombat 2. I think this is an A tier game. The gameplay is much improved from Mortal Kombat 1, 1992. Like the designs are better, the fatalities are better. There's 2 fatalities instead of just 1. It's just a better version of the first game, and I think it's actually a good game, unlike the first one, which I think is not that great. but just it's brought up by the fact that it's the first Mortal Kombat game. But Mortal Kombat 2, it had a big impact too. Characters like Reptile, Raiden is completely different in Mortal Kombat 2 compared to how he was in Mortal Kombat 1. There's just a lot of impact Mortal Kombat 2 specifically had on the Mortal Kombat franchise. And I've always said it, I believe Mortal Kombat 2 was really the game that kind of set in stone a lot of the characters' designs, personalities, and stuff like that. I feel like Mortal Kombat 1 kind of set it up, but Mortal Kombat 2 like really set it in stone in place. So Mortal Kombat 2, A-tier game. Now we're gonna rank both Mortal Kombat 3 and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I think Mortal Kombat 3 is I don't know, I think D tier is being harsh. Most of it is first of all, the fatalities really suck. Like, they didn't put any effort into fatalities. There's floating hands and stuff like that. And, it literally looks like someone took, like, a PNG of a character and just, like, used the select to, like, select a certain part, delete it. Like, for example, on a Kung Lao fatality where they slice off his head, it literally looks like they just, like, went into, like, Photoshop or something, selected the head, like, with the straight edge cutoff point, just deleted the head, and now there's just, like, no head there. Like, that's what this game feels like. Like, it doesn't feel like they put that much effort into actually animating, like, the blood and, like, the dismemberments and stuff like that, which, kind of sucks. But also, you got the roster, which isn't great with, no Scorpion, no Reptile, no Ermac, none of those characters. It's all just mostly a bunch of new characters and like a Sub-Zero that isn't really Sub-Zero. I mean, you got the Cyber Ninjas, you got Nightwolf, you got cool characters there, but you're just missing so many of the like important characters. Like, I don't think Raiden was in Mortal Kombat 3, or Johnny Cage, or no Katana, no Jade, no Melina, and yeah, I'm sorry, that's just an L. But Mortal Kombat, or Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, definitely improved upon it. I'll put it in A tier. I think it's just shy of B tier. But I think you gotta put it in A tier. Like, it's almost at B tier, but I gotta put it at A tier. Just because the roster is way improved. It's way better. I'm pretty sure they added some other stuff, probably new fatality types and stuff like that. And it's a really good game. Like, I didn't mention the gameplay for Mortal Kombat 3, but it's a vast improvement over even Mortal Kombat 2 with, like, the combo system and just a bunch of more features that make the game a lot better in the gameplay department. I just think the roster and the effort put into animation and stuff like that for the original Mortal Kombat 3 was seriously lacking. And then, of course, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 made the roster a whole lot better. Now we have, what game was after that? Okay, I think we had Mythology Sub-Zero. This one's a hard one. I got a soft spot for this game. You guys know, I'm a Bihan stan. Listen, the gameplay's not good, alright? It's irrationally hard. And not only that, but the story cutscenes, really bad. But man, the story itself is really good in this game. I'm putting it at C tier, okay? I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if y'all call me biased. I don't care. Mythology Sub-Zero is freaking C tier, alright? If I really wanted to mess with people, I could say it's B tier, but no, I'll say C tier. C tier for Mythology Sub-Zero. And then we have Mortal Kombat 4. I'm not gonna like do the different editions of Mortal Kombat 4 and stuff because it's just not worth the effort. But I think I'll put Mortal Kombat 4 D tier. It's never been a super interesting game to me. Like, I feel like, I don't know, it's just one of those games that didn't really have an impact. It was kind of just glossed over really quickly. It's not really able to be placed within a certain point in the Mortal Kombat's universe timeline because it's just like, okay, what happens in Mortal Kombat 3 happens. Like, that's kind of the end of the arcade era. And then there's the 3D era with Deadly Alliance and Deception and Armageddon. And most people remember those three games. And Mortal Kombat 4 is just kind of placed in between them. And, like, it's kind of its own separate thing, but it's not its own separate thing in a way that's, like, unique or anything. It just kind of fades into the background because more people talk about the other things. So, yeah, Mortal Kombat 4, D tier. Also, I didn't do Trilogy. I think this is kind of its own separate game. I'll put it at B tier, I guess. Like, I know the roster is super good, but like, I don't know. With it not being like its own full separate game, then I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's just a rehash of a lot of the things that were just in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and I feel like I don't know. Maybe Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 just should have been Trilogy. I don't know. I guess I'll put them in the same tier, since realistically, Trilogy should be better than Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 because it's basically the same game just with more characters. So I guess I'll put it there. Then what do we have next? I think we have Deadly Alliance? No, we have Special Forces, F tier. This is the game that drove John Tobias away from Mortal Kombat, and I can never forgive him for that. Okay, moving on. Where is Deadly Alliance? Deadly Alliance. This game has... Okay, this one's Tournament Edition. They're not the regular Deadly Alliance? Oh, no, it's right here. But yeah, Deadly Alliance is a solid B tier game. It's the first game on here. It's just like, good. Yeah. Awesome. It exists. The fact that there's only one fatality per character is kind of lame, but this game also introduced a whole lot of things in Mortal Kombat that people have associated with it for a long time since this game. Things like, I think Test Your Sight was in this game, but I think the main thing was like the Crypt, which was introduced in this game. And just a lot of things, Conquest, and yeah, even though like Conquest and stuff like that wasn't like fully developed, it definitely introduced that, and I think it had a big enough impact, of course, with it being the first 3D era game, stuff like that, like fully 3D era instead of like Mortal Kombat 4, which is kind of like a mix of the two of them. It's kind of a weird game, but this one's like full 3D era, full 3D capabilities. It takes advantage of the whole thing with the sidestepping and the weapons and the fighting stances and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this game only had one fighting stance, like one fighting stance and one weapon stance. I might be wrong on that. It might have been two fighting stances. I don't remember. I know Armageddon only has one fighting stance and one weapon stance. I don't remember if this game also had that same thing or if it was two fighting stances and one weapon. I don't know. Then we have Deception. Come on, guys. S tier game. S tier for Deception. Like, need I say more? Like, Onaga is great. The story, I haven't even been talking about the story for a lot of these games, but Deception's story is amazing. I love it. Like, Onaga and like the gameplay is super great, and it just expanded on a lot of the stuff from Deadly Alliance. And the Conquest mode, oh my god, Conquest mode, so amazing, going to all the different realms and stuff. Come on. Deception can't be anywhere else on your list other than S tier. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. Alright. Armageddon? I'll put Armageddon at A tier. I'll put it right below, I'll put it right below Mortal Kombat 2. I think this game gets a lot of flack for the fatalities and the fact that because they have so many characters, they can like fit everything into one game and make it all work. So a lot of people just kind of wrote this game off, but there's a lot of really good things about Armageddon. I think the Conquest mode is great. I think all the separate modes with like the puzzle combat. I don't think this game had puzzle combat, actually. I think this one was the one with motor combat. That's right. So, yeah, Mortal Kombat, super awesome. You got the Creative Fighter. Like, so, I don't know. I don't really understand the hate for this game. Like, I don't know why a lot of people have it like, C tier, D tier. No, this is a good game. People just don't like the fact that there's not fatalities, really. And, you know, I get that, I guess. Like, it's kind of a big part of the series, but at the same time, man. Oh, we forgot Shaolin Monks. Oh, yeah, Shaolin Monks, S tier. Is it above Deception? Yeah, I'll put it below Deception. I think just because at least Deception is a Mortal Kombat game. It's a fighting game. This isn't really a fighting game. I mean, it is a fighting game. Like, you do fight, but it's more of a beat-em-up game rather than like one-on-one, whatever you want to call it. Like, Deception, it's more of a Mortal Kombat game to me. So I just have to put it above it. Plus, the story is way better. Shaolin Monk's story is not great, but the gameplay more than makes up for that. The co-op factor of it, it's a great game, all right? Just because it's below Deception doesn't make it not a great game, all right? And then we have versus DC Universe. It's better than Mortal Kombat 4, but I don't think I can put it in C tier. It's a weird game. just because like the whole T rating thing with Mortal Kombat, I don't know, it just doesn't really work. And like the story mode was kind of weird. Like the voice acting for a lot of characters was not good. And I don't know, it's just a weird game having like the characters interact, and I feel like Mortal Kombat just doesn't interact with other universes that well. Like even though there's all the guest characters and stuff, like I don't think you can build a whole story around it. I feel like if you want to have a DC Universe game where they're crossing over with something else, just make a Marvel versus DC game. Like that's what I want. All right, make a Marvel versus DC game, and I will be very, very happy. But that's probably never going to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. It's a weird game. S tier for Mortal Kombat 9, no doubt about it. It's probably the best Mortal Kombat game. It is the most Mortal Kombat of all the Mortal Kombat games. It has all the classic characters. It's got the 2D fighting system, all that, all you want to call it. It's got the gruesome fatalities. It's got a flawed story mode, but a story mode nonetheless. It's got the challenge towers, you got the normal towers, you got the test your might, test your sight, test your strike, whatever you want to freaking call it. You got test your luck. Like there's so much stuff in Mortal Kombat. I mean, tag team mode. Like, come on. All right. Mortal Kombat 9. I don't want to hear anyone say it's not the best Mortal Kombat game. Like, it is. Even though the story, for a lot of people, isn't that great, like, everything else about it is A+. Mortal Kombat X, I'll stand by this. This is a D tier game, all right? I'll say it's worse than Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Actually, and I would put it as worse than Mortal Kombat 4. It's just like, the game's just there. It's like, I don't know, it had so much potential, but it just did not live up to it. I hate the aesthetic of it. I said it so many times, you guys are probably sick of it, but just like the brown, the grays, the saturation, the darkness of all of it, it's just not great. It goes too gritty, too realistic, and wants to be like a grounded version of Mortal Kombat, and that's just like lame. And I don't know, like the story plays it way too safe. It's just boring. It doesn't really take any risks. It's just like, okay, you play through the story mode. It's just like something to watch while your mind just goes elsewhere. Like just busy work for your eyes, I guess. Like that's how I view Mortal Kombat X's story mode. Gameplay, I'm not a huge fan of, even though everyone loves it. I'm not a huge fan of the gameplay. The fatalities, I like the more cartoony kind of fatalities that they have in 11 and 1. Like, in X, it was just kind of like, I don't know, it was just kind of like gross, I guess. Like, but not gross in like a, ooh, that was gross, what the heck. It was more just like an, type of gross. And I don't know. Mortal Kombat X is clearly just not my cup of tea, even though a lot of you guys seem to like it. Mortal Kombat 11, give it, I can't say it's better than Deadly Alliance. I'll say it's B tier. Not better than Deadly Alliance. But, you know, there's good things about the game, there's bad things about the game. And, you know, I think it's better than it is, or I think it's more good than it is bad. But it has a lot of problems. It is a very flawed game. Probably more flawed than Deadly Alliance, but I think the highs in Mortal Kombat 11 are higher than the highs of Deadly Alliance, so it kind of puts it on the same level. I don't think it's better than Deadly Alliance, but it's here. It's here. Yeah. I don't know, I always feel weird putting Mortal Kombat 11 on these tier lists. Like, it's just like such a weird game, because on some days I'm feeling like, okay, Mortal Kombat 11, this is a really fun game, let's put it in A tier. And sometimes being like, oh, the story is bad, some of the grind is awful, Combat League is always a pain. Sometimes I want to put it in C tier, but I think B tier is a good place to put it. Like, I don't know where else to put it. But now we have the main event of the evening. Mortal Kombat Uno 1. Mortal 1 Kombat. Where will I put it? Will I put it in S tier as the best Mortal Kombat game ever? Will I put it as F tier as the worst Mortal Kombat game ever? I'm gonna put it right. No. Okay. I kind of messed it up. I misclicked. I'm going to put it right here. I think it's not as good as Armageddon, but I think it's better than Trilogy and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. And I'll put it right smack dab in the middle of A tier. I've already made this whole review, so I don't need to go that in depth about it, but it's a good game. Alright guys, it's a good game. I put it right in between there. And if you want to have my ranking, I'd say Mortal Kombat 9 is the best. Second, Deception. Third, Shaolin Monks. And fourth, Mortal Kombat 2. Fifth, Armageddon. Sixth, Mortal Kombat 1. Seventh, Trilogy. Eighth, I'm starting to lose count here, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Ninth, Deadly Alliance. 10th, Mortal Kombat 11. 11th, Mortal Kombat 1992. 12th, Mortal Kombat 3. 13th, Sub-Zero Mythologies. 14th, DC Universe. 15th, Mortal Kombat 4. 16th, Mortal Kombat X. And 17th, Mortal Kombat Special Forces. I hope I got that count right, or else I'm going to be failing math this year. But yeah, that's it for this review. I definitely do need to play this game a lot more. I just have not been able to find the time with school and this YouTube channel and all that stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, this should help my YouTube channel, like playing the game more, because then I'll actually kind of know what I'm talking about more so when I'm talking about this game. But yeah, I don't know. I need to find more time for myself. I need to find more time to play games and stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. I need to play online more as well. Like, I haven't been able to practice my skills out online at all because I'm just so afraid to go online. I don't know. With all these Mortal Kombat games, I'm just, like, terrified that my win-loss record is going to look like the average record of a Tommy Fury opponent. All right? I don't need that. All right? I don't need that stress. I don't need that stress happening every single time I go to a new opponent and then they see my win-loss record and, like, they're judging me and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I get weird about that sort of stuff. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 1 is a good game, and I recommend it to anyone who is not grossed out by gore. Like, that's the only condition. If you're not grossed out by gore, then I think you should play the game because it's pretty fun. Pretty good game. And, you know, there are problems that it has, but I don't think the bad outweighs the good. I think the good outweighs the bad in this case. But you guys let me know. What were your guys' thoughts on Mortal Kombat 1 if you played it? Comment it down below. Also, make sure to check out my links, which include my membership, my merch store, my Twitter, and my Instagram. Also, make sure to give this video a like, as it'll help get this video out to more people and get more views and more engagement and comments and a better, stronger Uncommon Oddity community. Also, make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell. And with that being said, that's it for this video, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.